The trials that take place for humanity are things that are purposeful. They're not things that without any purpose. Every single one of us has our own personalized test from Allah. And we may not understand all the wisdoms. Why is it that my mother died? Why is it that I was an orphan? Why is it that my spouse left me? Why is it that my children, I had to bury them with my own hands? Why is it that I lost the house? Why this, all these things? All we need to know is acknowledge that it is Allah that has the greatest plan, and that Allah has a personalized test for us, and upon us is to submit to Allah, and upon us is to accept the divine decree of Allah, and that Allah has complete wisdom and we are lacking. Humble yourself. Don't be so arrogant and think you need to understand everything. You don't understand everything. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Continuing with the story of Musa alayhi salam, we're coming towards the end, inshallah. Next week, or rather the week after, next week, inshallah, there'll be a reminder for Ramadan. The week after that, inshallah, will be the final episode of these multiple episodes we have done on the story of Musa alayhi salam. And this is purely because of the reason that the Quran is full of the stories of Musa alayhi salam. So we could not do stories of the Prophet without the stories of Musa alayhi salam being predominantly mentioned, because they are predominantly mentioned within the Quran. So today what I want to mention is a very special story, and it is not, again, like as we've mentioned other stories of Musa alayhi salam, this is not a time-bound story. This is a story that is mentioned about Musa alayhi salam, and it is more of the focus upon the lessons rather than the timeline that we're used to. Musa alayhi salam in Egypt, and with Fir'aun and so on. Rather, this story is something that many of you perhaps read every Friday, and is the story of Musa alayhi salam and Al-Khidr. I want to start off, first of all, by mentioning that there's a lengthy narration in Al-Bukhari that talks about this very narration. And what is interesting is the context of it, and that is that the cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah ibn Abbas, who is Tarjuman al-Quran, the interpreter of the Quran, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that he is somebody that is the one who is most knowledgeable of the Quran. And he was somebody that the companions themselves and the early tabi'een, they went to Abdullah ibn Abbas in order to understand the Quran. And somebody had come and said about the story of Musa alayhi salam and Al-Khidr, that this is actually not the Musa that we know from Banu Israel, this is another Musa. And Abdullah ibn Abbas responded and said, كَذِبَ عَدُوَ اللَّهِ. This enemy of Allah has lied. And then he goes on to narrate from another great companion, who is also somebody that is well trusted and well versed within the Quran, none other than Ubay ibn Ka'b. Ubay ibn Ka'b. And he mentions that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke, and he mentions this lengthy narration that we're going to use as a basis, as well as the ayat in Surah Al-Kahf about this great story and the stories and the lessons that we learn from therein. So the first thing is that Musa alayhi salam, according to the narration that is in Al-Bukhari, he stood up and he was addressing Banu Israel, and he was asked by somebody, أَيُّ النَّاسِ أَعْلَمُ, who is the most knowledgeable of the people? So Musa alayhi salam, out of his knowledge, responded, أَنَا, I am the one who is most knowledgeable. And عَتَبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ, meaning Allah sent down a means of discipline to Musa alayhi salam. He wanted to discipline him for his statement of saying, I am. As if to say, you should have ascribed this to me. You should have said, Allah knows best. Or, I am the most knowledgeable from what I know, and Allah knows best. So here Allah wants to teach Musa alayhi salam a lesson, and He tells him that I have a slave. Allah tells Musa alayhi salam that I have a slave that is at the junction of the two seas, Majma' al-Bahrain, huwa a'lamu mink, and he is more knowledgeable than you. And we'll get to this meaning of what does it mean by more knowledgeable than you. What was the response, interestingly, of Musa alayhi salam? Did he say, Ya Allah, I am Kalimullah, I'm the one who you spoke to, I am the one who is chosen, you said that you have chosen me, and so on? Immediately his response is, Ya Rabb, kayfa li bih? How can I get to him? Look at the humility of Musa alayhi salam, and this is why he was a chosen prophet. He didn't have any arrogance at all to say, oh, I think I am better, how can this person, we don't even know about him? Rather, what did he say immediately? Ya Allah, I want to go and benefit from this person, to show you the beautiful intention of wanting to seek knowledge. So Allah commanded Musa alayhi salam, and He said, take with you a fish and put it in a miktal, which is like a woven basket, and travel with it until you reach the junction of the two seas. And at the point where you will lose this fish, this is the place where you will meet this man. So Musa alayhi salam, and as Allah mentions in the start of the Quran, the start of the surah, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. So he says to a young boy that he was traveling with, and according to this narration, it is Yusha bin Nun, the young boy that was traveling with Musa alayhi salam. And he says to him that we're going to go on this journey to get to this junction of the two seas, and I'm going to go even if it means I have to travel a long distance, meaning I'm prepared to go a long way in order for me to meet this person that has knowledge from Allah Jalla wa Ala. فلما بلغ مجمع بينهما نسيا حوتهما فاتخذ سبيله في البحر سربا. Then Allah mentions that when they did eventually reach this junction of the two seas, they lost their fish, and the fish had taken a path or slipped away in a path towards the sea. And here, just to mention a few points. The first point being that Musa alayhi salam, he's taken this fish that is obviously it's a dead fish, it's out of the water, and it's in a woven basket, and it's the salt has been put on it to preserve this fish. And as they are traveling, obviously as travelers, it's a long travel, so they have to stop and they go to rest. So as they're resting, Allah brings life to this fish, and it starts to scurry or starts to thrush inside the woven basket until it comes out of the basket and goes into the sea. And as it goes into the sea, it forms as if like an arch or like a tunnel, a taq, as we say, which is like a tunnel or like a bridge in the sea. Yeah, you can imagine this fish has come in the sea, and on top of that, Allah has stopped the water from flowing around this fish. We know that the sea is flowing, but the water of the sea that is around this fish has completely stopped flowing. And who witnesses, by the way, the young boy witnesses this, as we'll come to know later on. The young boy witnesses this great event happen, and Allah says, فَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ سَرَبًا, that this fish, it slipped away and made its way into the sea. فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَ, and then they had moved on, and of course Musa alayhi salam had not witnessed this. It's only the boy that has witnessed this. قَالَ لِفَتَاهُ آتِنَا غَدَاءَنَا. Now he says to this young boy that bring us our ghada, bring us our lunch, which is not the fish, by the way, this is something else. لَقَدْ لَقِينَا مِنْ سَفَرِنَا هَذَا نَصَبًا, that we've got very tired from this lengthy journey that we're on. And it shows you the amount of difficulty Musa alayhi salam was willing to go through just to seek knowledge. To show you that those people who truly want to seek knowledge, they're ready to go through the difficulty of even traveling. So Musa alayhi salam is saying, we're tired now. As subhanAllah, here Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَلَمْ يَجِدْ مُوسَى النَّصَبْ حَتَّى جَاوَزَ الْمَكَانَ الَّذِي أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ, that he didn't feel this tiredness until he had gone past the point that Allah wanted him to be at. And here some of the scholars, they mention an interesting point of reflection, and that is that the famous hadith where Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, مَنْ سَلَكَ طَرِيقًا يَلْتَمِسُ فِيهِ عِلْمًا سَهَلَ اللَّهُ لَهُ طَرِيقًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Whoever takes a path in order to seek knowledge, Allah makes easy his path to Jannah. So here Musa alayhi salam, although it was a difficult journey and it was taxing on the body, he never felt the difficulty until he had gone beyond the point of where he was going to seek that knowledge. So that now whatever he's traveling from after the point where he should have traveled, all of that he's actually feeling it now. Whereas before he never felt it. And this is the seeker of knowledge, the talib al-ilm. He, of course, it's taxing, it's tiring, being away from the family, having to do this, having to stay up in the nights, having to commit every morning, having to go to the lessons and doing all these reading and research and so on. But he gets enjoyment out of this ta'ab, out of this difficulty and this tiring. But here Musa alayhi salam, he feels the difficulty once he has passed this point that he was supposed to stop at. And then when he is asked about the ghada, or when he is asked about this, to bring the food, the young boy Yusha, he says to Musa alayhi salam, and he realizes then what had happened. He says, أَرَأَيْتَ إِذْ أَوَيْنَا إِلَى الصَّخْرَةِ فَإِنِّي نَسِيتُ الْحُوتِ. He said to Musa that, don't you think we should return back to the rock that we rested at previously? Because I have forgotten the fish. And then he tells him what had happened. And Allah says, وَمَا أَنْسَانِيهُ إِلَّا الشَّيْطَانُ أَنْ أَذْكُرَهُ. That it was the devil, the shaitan, that made him forget about this and tell Musa alayhi salam what he had saw when he had seen this fish that was in the sea. And that is why Allah then says, وَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ عَجَبًا. Notice first time Allah mentions that according to the fish, it was saraba. It was slipping away, it was finding a way to escape. But according to Yusha and Musa, it was ajaba. It was a miracle and it was amazing. That how this fish that is dead, that is salted, preserved, no life in it, how Allah brought it to life, how it managed to escape from the woven basket and go into the sea, and how Allah prevented the water from flowing around it, and how Allah created almost like a tunnel in the water. All of this was a means of amazement to Musa alayhi salam and the young boy that was with him. طيب. Musa alayhi salam, when he hears this, he says, ذَلِكَ مَا كُنَّا نَبْغِي. This is what we wanted. This is what we had. This was the purpose of our journey. فَارْتَدَّ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمَا قَصَصًا. So what did they do? They started to go back on themselves and try to find, go back and see, retrace their steps. And here, subhanAllah, to mention here, this is something that is a basic of life. You lost your keys or you lost something, retrace your steps, as they say. Yeah, this is what the ayah is saying. فَارْتَدَّ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمَا قَصَصًا. That they went back onto retracing their steps. That perhaps they will find something. It's a simple thing to do. You forgot something, retrace your steps. Don't panic, go back. And here's Musa alayhi salam. Let's go back and let's try to find the point at where this happened. And as they go back, what do they find? فَوَجَدَ عَبْدًا مِّنْ عِبَادِنَا آتَيْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً مِّنْ عِنْدِنَا وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. They found a slave from the slaves of Allah Jalla wa'ala, whom Allah has showered with His mercy and has taught him things from Himself. Has given him knowledge from Himself. Allah Jalla wa'ala has given him knowledge. And he found this man that was covered in a garment. And Musa alayhi salam, when he seen him, he gives him salam. He says, Assalamu alaikum. And the man says, Anna bi ardika salam. That, what do you mean it was salam? And here he was amazed that Musa alayhi salam gave salam to show that he was either living amongst, he was in a land where they were non-Muslims, or he was away from the people, for example. That he was surprised that he received a salam, that he received this greeting. So Musa alayhi salam responds by saying, Ana Musa, that I am Musa. And here, this is a very quick point, and we're going to be making more of these points further down, because there's a lot of things that have been said about Al-Khidr. One of them is that, Allah has granted him, and I actually heard this firsthand. Somebody came to the masjid in Ramadan and told me that, some of the scholars, the great scholars, they have this knowledge called ilmul ladun, taking from this ayah, min ladunna ilma. Ladunna means from us. So some people that like to be very mystical, they said, Khidr, he has, this knowledge of the unseen, wal-iyadhu billah. But here, look, Khidr, he doesn't know who he is. So who are you? And then he tells him, I am Musa. Then he confirmed, he said, Musa Bani Israel, Musa from Banu Israel, which shows you that Musa alayhi salam was known in the land as well. So Musa alayhi salam says, yes, this is me, Musa from Banu Israel. The point here that Khidr didn't have knowledge of all the unseen. He only had knowledge that which Allah had given him. He had knowledge from ilm al-ghayb, only that which Allah had given him. Nothing more, nothing less. Whatever Allah intended to give him, this is what he was blessed with. So he says to Musa alayhi salam, that you're Musa from Banu Israel, and he says, yes, I am Musa from Banu Israel, and I have come to learn from you that which Allah has taught you. And here Allah mentions in the Quran, قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. That can I follow you so that I can learn from that which you have been taught, that which you have been blessed with of knowledge from Allah Jalla wa Ala. And here, what does Khidr say to Musa alayhi salam at this point? When he asked him to stay, he says, Ya Musa. He said, I know knowledge from Allah, that Allah has taught me, that which you have no knowledge of. Like you have knowledge from Allah, that which Allah has revealed to you, that which I have no knowledge of. So here, this is a very important point. Why? Because Khidr is not somebody who is this, like as we said, it's not this completely mystical figure that, he knows all these things, and he's acknowledging that which he knows, that Allah taught me, which you don't know. And likewise, Musa, you have knowledge from Allah that I don't have. And that is to show you that Musa salam, it shows you two things. Number one, it does support the opinion that Al-Khidr was a prophet of Allah. He was a Nabi, he received revelation. And secondly, it also proves that it wasn't entirely that Musa salam didn't have knowledge and Khidr had more knowledge than him. This wasn't the case. Rather, he had certain knowledge that Musa didn't have, like Musa had certain knowledge that he didn't have. And Allah is bringing them together. Why? To teach Musa salam a lesson and to guide him to certain things in life and perceptions, that which we will see inshaAllah. And as Allah mentions in the Quran, قَالَ إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. He says to Musa, you will not be able to have patience upon this knowledge that I have been given. وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. And here he is making an excuse for Musa. How can you have patience on this knowledge that you have not been given? How can you have patience? I don't blame you for not being patient on having this knowledge. And Musa alayhi salam, he insists and he says, سَتَجِدُنِي إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ صَابِرًا وَلَا أَعْصِيَ لَكَ أَمْرًا. That you will find that I am patient with you by the will of Allah, and I will not disobey your command. I will stay with you and on the condition that I will listen to everything that you have said, and I will not do anything to disobey you. So here Khidr agrees on a condition, and he says, قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرا. That if you are going to follow me, Musa, then don't ask me about anything unless I explain it to you. Wait till my explanation, don't ask me about anything. This is the condition that I have if you're going to follow me. So Musa alayhi salam agrees upon this condition, and فَانْطَلَقَا. So they go, both of them, on their way. Musa alayhi salam now with Khidr, and they're going along on their way. And the first stop that they come to a bank, and they need to cross over this river to get to the other side or to get to the other bank. And they come across a group of masakin, as Allah mentions in the Quran. And masakin, of course, they are people who are, or rather, they are people who are not fuqara, meaning they don't have, not that they don't have anything at all. They have things, but they are still in need. And we'll get to explain this further on, inshallah. But the point is, they come across a group of people, and they want to cross the river. Actually, needy, still needy. They are like poor, not faqir, that is completely poor, that has no wealth or anything like that. A miskin, he may have belongings. When we say faqir, and we're going to come to this inshallah, when we say faqir, it means somebody that has no personal belongings, doesn't have a house, he has absolutely nothing. That's why he's the first one that is mentioned in the people that are due zakat. Second one after that is the miskin. Miskin is the one, he may own a house, he may own a car, he may own certain things, but he's still struggling. End of the month, he's got nothing left, for example, is living from paycheck to paycheck. This would be classed as a miskin, and he is eligible for zakah. Al-Muhim, they come across this group, and Allah says in the Quran, فَانْطَلَقَا حَتَّى إِذَا رَكِبَا فِي السَّفِينَةِ. Then they come on board this ship with this group of people that they've come with. And what happens at this stage? They've come onto the ship, Musa alayhi salam and Khidr, and the people have allowed them to come on without taking from them any payment. They know Khidr, they see Khidr, they know who he is, and they say, "Come, yeah, take us. We'll take you across," and they don't take any payment from him. And as they are on this ship, Khidr says to Musa, they see a bird that comes onto the ship, and the bird puts the beak inside the water to take some sips of water from the sea. And Khidr, he points to this bird, to Musa alayhi salam, and he says, "Ma ilmi wa ilmuk min ilmi Allah illa mithla ma naqasa hadha al-asfur biminqarihi min hadha al-bahr." That my knowledge and your knowledge, in comparison to the knowledge of Allah, is like how this beak takes the water, or how much water it takes from the sea. What does the little bird that dips its beak into the sea, what kind of, how much is it decreasing from the sea? Nothing. This is the comparison of what? Of the knowledge of Musa and Khidr combined. Because Musa a.s. knows things that Khidr doesn't know. Khidr knows things that Musa doesn't know. These two are the most knowledgeable people on the entire earth at that moment. Yet their knowledge combined is not even anything comparison to the knowledge of Allah. Rather, what they have combined is from the knowledge of Allah. It is from the knowledge of Allah. Allah is the one who gave them that knowledge. So what happens? خَرَقَهَا. Khidr, when he's on this ship now, he uses a qudum, which is like a adz or an axe they call. It's called an adz actually. It's like similar to an axe, but it's used to like pry wood. So he takes this and he takes off some planks from the wood, from the ship that they're on, Takes off some wood from the ship that they're on. And Musa a.s. obviously is shocked. What's he doing? We're on this ship. These people have agreed to take us across the sea, and they've not even charged us. Clearly they're very good people. They look like people who are, in need themselves, and they didn't even, they could have extorted us. They could have used, taken the money from us and things. They need it. And in return, what does he do? He's taking out the planks. So he says what anybody else would say. He says, قَوْمٌ حَمَلُونَ. The people have taken us, بِغَيْرِ نَوْلٍ, without any, charge or anything like that. And now you have come and you intentionally are breaking the ship, لِتُغْرِقَ أَهْلَهَا, which is going to cause them to drown. لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا إِمْرًا. You've done a terrible thing, Khidr. What you've done is terrible. And Khidr simply replies to him, قال ألم أقل لك أو قال ألم أقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. Did I not say to you, Musa? Did I not say that you will not have the patience to be with me and to learn from this knowledge that I have? And at that point, Musa a.s. he remembers and he says, لا تؤاخذني بما نسيت ولا ترهقني من أمري عسرا. That don't hold me accountable for that which I've been neglectful, that which I was forgetful about. So here, the first mistake that Musa a.s. makes here is that he was forgetful of his condition, what he made. Why? Because of the thing that he just saw. He's seeing something like that, completely forgot about the condition, and he says, listen, don't hold me accountable for being forgetful, and don't make my trip a misery. So after this, what happens now? They reach to the other side, and as they reach to the other side, they find a young boy that is playing with other boys. As Allah mentions in the Quran, فَانْطَلَقَا حَتَّى إِذَا لَقِيَا غُلَامًا. They continue going until they meet a young boy. And ghulam here means a young boy. In the Arabic language, when you say ghulam, it means a young boy. And when you say jariya, it means a young girl, which most likely is not yet even reached puberty, not a mature child. It's a child, it's a young child. So what does he do? فَقَتَلَهُ. Khidr goes, and in the hadith even more explicit, he goes and he pulls the head of this child and kills the child. Kills the child in front of Musa a.s. You think Musa a.s. is going to be patient with that? What does he say? أَقَتَلْتَ نَفْسًا زَكِيَّةً. Have you killed a pure, innocent child? بِغَيْرِ نَفْسٍ. Without that child doing anything wrong, without that child murdering or anything like that, you've just gone and killed an innocent child. لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا نُكْرًا. You have done something extremely terrible. First he said about the ship, Imra, that you've done something that is bad, that is evil. But Nukra is even worse. And here Musa a.s. is not talking about anymore, it's not our forgetfulness anymore. He knows what he's saying because he's shocked out. How could you do such a thing like this? One thing is taking the ship apart, but here you're taking a life, you're murdering a child. لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا نُكْرًا. You've done a terrible, evil thing. And again, Khidr turns to Musa a.s. and simply replies to him, أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكَ إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. Did I not tell you, O Musa, you will not be able to be patient with me. You won't be able to handle what is going to come your way when you stay with me. And Musa a.s. at this point realizes that this is something that is beyond him, and he says, إِن سَأَلْتُكَ عَنْ شَيْءٍ بَعْدَهَا فَلَا تُصَاحِبْنِي. That if I ask you, Khidr, now anything after this, then you can stop accompanying me. No longer continue on this path. قد بلغت من لدني عذرا. That I've reached the maximum amount of excuses now. And here, important here, Musa is not somebody who's just full of words. He's not somebody that said, oh yeah, sorry, next time make the same mistake, sorry again. We're used to just apologizing. But here Musa he actually makes a condition upon himself. إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها, if I ask you for something after this, فلا تصاحبني. I am telling you from myself, you don't accompany. I will no longer accompany you. I will no longer be in your presence, and we won't continue on this journey. I am putting the ultimatum upon myself that if I continue to do something that you told me clearly not to do, I am responsible, and I am the one that will face the consequences. So they فانطلقا, so they move on after this incident. حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية, until they come across a people of a village. استطعما أهلها, and they were tired and they were hungry from this journey that they're on. So they sought from the people to honor them as guests. And this is something that is known from all cultures and nations, that you have strangers that come to your land. It is wajib, it is an obligation upon you that you look after them and you honor them as guests. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, then let him honor his guest. As Rasulullah ﷺ said, that the wajib at least is that you, 1 day and 1 night at least, and even better than that is 3 days and 3 nights, and any more than that is a sadaqah. And they say, شر القرى التي تبخل القرى, or something like this, if you heard the saying. That the worst of villages are those that don't look after their guests. That's a saying in Arabic. So the point here is, فَأَبَوْا أَن يُضَيِّفُوهُمَا, the people refused to look after Musa and Khidr, even though they are their guests and even though they are strangers in the land. So they don't get fed. They move on and they're still hungry. And in that village, what did they find? فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا جِدَارًا, they see there that there is a wall. يريد أن ينقض, this wall is slanted and it's going to eventually collapse. فأقامه, so what does Khidr do? He straightens that wall. He makes sure that wall is straight so that it doesn't collapse anymore. And Musa at this point he says, قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا. And if you look at the context, what is he saying? He says, قوم أتيناهم, a people that we have come to. فلم يطعمونا ولم يضيفونا. They didn't feed us. They didn't even look after us as their guests. لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا. If you wanted, you could have at least taken something in return for doing this. Well, these people don't deserve for you to straighten their wall after how they treated us. And here, this is a point that's also important. It's good to be good to others, and those people that are bad to you, you don't be like rude to them. But at the same time, don't allow yourself to be a fool. Don't allow yourself to be a fool. And this is something that Musa is saying that is logical and rational. Not to say that he's mean. These people have got no, they've got no karama in them. They've got no nobility amongst them. That strangers have come to their land. They don't have the decency to even feed them or look after them. What's the point of doing anything for such a people? And at that point, what does Khidr say? قال هذا فراق بيني وبينك. That this is the departure between us. This is where things come to an end, and I'm no longer going to be with you. But at the same time, سأنبئك بتأويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا. But I will tell you that which you did not have patience on. That which you could not hold yourself except to ask me, O Musa, I will explain to you the reason as to why this happened. And Rasulullah ﷺ in this lengthy narration, what does he say? وَدَدْنَا أَنَّ مُوسَى كَانَ صَبَرْ حَتَّى يَقُصَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا مِنْ خَبْرِهِمَا. We wish that Musa ﷺ would have been a little bit patient, so that Allah would perhaps tell us more about the story of Musa and Khidr in the Quran. But we know that this is the only 3 incidents that took place. طيب. The point here now, what happens? Khidr now is telling him that this is the end of your journey. You can no longer be accompanying me on your own terms as well. And here, what did the Messenger ﷺ say? Or this is mentioned in the same narration, that he said, كانت الأولى نسيانا. The first time Musa ﷺ, he asked, it was out of being forgetful. He forgot that he's not supposed to ask when he broke the ship. The second time, Musa ﷺ puts a condition on himself. And the third time was deliberate. The third time Musa ﷺ, he said it out of deliberation. Like, this makes clear sense. Come on. Anybody would have told you that, listen, you're going to help them with this favor on this wall. The least they can do is give us some food. No, it's a no-brainer. He's saying it deliberately. Come on, what kind of wisdom is going to be behind this? And subhanAllah, if we look at this now, Khidr begins to explain what happened for each of these incidents, for each of these three incidents. So he says, أما السفينة فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر. As for the ship, it belonged to masakin, as we said, people who may own something, but they are themselves in need. There are people that are in need, and it shows you the good nature of these people as well, the fact that they were in need, yet they didn't do istighlal. They didn't try to take advantage of Musa and Khidr. Rather, they said they know Khidr, and they say, this appears to be a good person. Perhaps they knew that he was a prophet of Allah. Perhaps they knew that he had such knowledge. So they accepted him without any pay. Show you the good-hearted and the good nature of these people. And he said that they used to work in the sea. فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَعِيبَهَا وَكَانَ وَرَاءَهُمْ مَلِكٌ يَأْخُذُ كُلَّ سَفِينَةٍ غَصْبًا. And I wanted to put a defect in the ship. Why? Because there was a king that was coming to them, and he is a king that is a oppressive king, a tyrant. And he likes to snatch the ships of others. People that are working on the sea, he likes to take them away from them. This king is a oppressive tyrant. So what did they say? I wanted to put a defect in the ship, so that when the police or those that are working for the king, when they see the state of the ship, they're not going to want the ship. And this will allow them to at least fix that ship later on and save it from being taken from the king. That's the first incident. The second one, وَأَمَّا الْغُلَامِ. And as for the young boy that was killed in such a violent manner, فَكَانَ أَبَوَاهُ مُؤْمِنَيْنِ. His parents are believers. فَخَشِينَا أَن يُرْهِقَهُمَا طُغْيَانًا وَكُفْرًا. And we were afraid, and look, I want you to focus on the wording here that he's using Khidr, and compare it to what he says later on. فَخَشِينَا أَن يُرْهِقَهُمَا طُغْيَانًا وَكُفْرًا. So we were fearful that this young boy, when he grows up, the tyrant that he's going to become, the oppressive man that he's going to become, that he's going to deal with his parents in such a way that they are going to be oppressed, and they may even leave Islam. They may even no longer become believers because of how the way this boy is, and he will drag them towards his disbelief. So, فَأَرَدْنَا أَن يُبْدِلَهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا خَيْرًا مِنْهُ زَكَاةً وَأَقْرَبَ رُحْمًا. That we wanted to replace, and your Lord wanted, and here what does he say? Their Lord, we wanted to replace them with somebody who their Lord will provide that is better. Somebody that is better than this child that is going to be oppressive and is going to be an evil person when he grows up. Okay? And here, subhanAllah, now focus on that, and now listen to what he says on the third one. This is the second one. The third one, what does he say? وَأَمَّا الْجِدَارُ فَكَانَ لِغُلَامَيْنِ يَتِيمَيْنِ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. And as for the wall that he put upright, then it belonged to two orphan boys that were living in that village where the people are evil people. These people are, evil people. They didn't look after us. They don't look after their guests. However, these two young boys, they are innocent young boys. وَكَانَ تَحْتَهُ كَنْزٌ لَهُمَا. And under this wall was a treasure that belonged to them. So I had to make sure that this wall was upright. Why? If I let the wall drop down and these boys are still young, then the people who are evil in their nature, they're going to take that wealth and they're not going to leave anything for these orphans whom that wealth belongs to. What is the reason? وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. And their father was a righteous man. And here the Mufassirin, they say that the father that left them the wealth, their direct father, but who was the one that was righteous, whose wealth it belonged to? Al-Ab al-Sabi', the seventh father. The father's father. Many people in this room wouldn't even be able to know who that father is for your own family. Yet they were able to, because the seventh father did good, Allah ensured that the wealth of these two orphans was preserved for those 7 generations. To show you how much Allah appreciated the righteousness of that father. So, and here what does he say? فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ أن يبلغ أشدهما ويستخرج كنزهما رحمة من ربك. Your Lord wanted. Remember I told you to hear, listen, what was the last one? فأردنا. When he was about killing the child, what did he say? We wanted. Khidr says we wanted. And when it comes to protecting the wealth of the orphans, فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ. Your Lord, Allah, he clearly ascribes to Allah, your Lord wanted that we keep this wealth of theirs preserved, رَحْمَةً مِّن رَبِّكَ, as a mercy from your Lord, as a mercy from your Lord. What is the point here? Khidr's beautiful adab when he speaks about his creator. How is this? Killing a young boy, the apparent, the zahir of this, is it good or bad? It's evil, very evil. So when he said that Allah wanted to replace those parents with a better child, فَأَرَدْنَا, he doesn't say Allah, he couldn't say فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ. He didn't want to say this. Your Lord wanted, as he said in the second one. Rather he said, so we wanted, ascribing the act to himself here. I'm the one that carried out this act. But when it came to doing a good action, which was to hold the wall upright and to preserve the wealth, he said, فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ. Your Lord wanted to protect their wealth. رَحْمَةً مِّن رَبِّكَ. A mercy from your Lord. Ascribing it completely to Allah Jalla wa Ala. As Allah says, وَمَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ حَسَنَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Anything that is good that happens to you is from Allah. وَمَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ سَيِّئَةٍ فَمِنْ نَفْسِكَ. But any evil that happens, then it is something from yourself. And that is why from our adab with Allah is that we never ascribe evil to Allah. We never ascribe bad to Allah. Yes, Allah created everything. Allah created Iblis, who is the head of all evil. But we never ascribe that evil to Allah. Rather, we ascribe evil to Iblis and to ourselves. And this is why in the dua, what do we say? وَالْخَيْرُ كُلُّهُ بِيَدَيْكَ. When we say to Allah that, oh Allah, all good is in your hands. وَالشَّرُّ لَيْسَ إِلَيْكَ. But there is no evil connected to you. And if you look at the jinn, those that were the believers of the jinn, in Surah Al-Jinn, what did they say? وَأَنَّا لَا نَدْرِي أَشَرٌ أُرِيدَ بِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَمْ أَرَادَ بِهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ رَشَدًا. That we don't know, the jinn was saying, we don't know if the people in the earth, good is wanted with them. It doesn't say if Allah wanted, evil is wanted by them, or bad things are going to happen to them. He didn't say, or the jinns, they didn't say that if Allah wanted to do evil with them. And then he says, أَمْ أَرَادَ رَبُّهُمْ بِهِمْ أَمْ أَرَادَ بِهِمْ رَبُّهُم رَشَدًا. Or did Allah, or their Lord, now Allah comes in, or did their Lord want good for them? So when evil's about to happen to them, they said, أُرِيدَ. مَبْنِي لِلْمَجْهُولِ, as we say in Arabic. Meaning we don't know, they don't specify who the doer is. Evil is done to the people, but we don't say who the evil is done by. And when good is done to the people, رَبُّهُم. Their Lord is the one that does it. So we can hear, subhanAllah, the adab of those believing jinn that they have with Allah. They didn't want to ascribe evil to Allah, but when it came to good, they directly ascribe it to Allah Jalla wa Ala. So subhanAllah, this is what we learn from having complete adab with Allah Jalla wa Ala. And then he says, after this, وَمَا فَعَلْتُهُ عَنْ أَمْرِي. I didn't do any of this out of my own accord. It's not something that I chose to do. It's not something that Allah has made me work on given me autonomy to do or something like this. Rather, this is something that is from my Lord, that I'm executing from my Lord. And he says, ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. That is the explanation, that is the interpretation and the reasoning for that which you did not have the ability to be patient upon Musa in this matter. I want to point out a point here that is very interesting. Two things are mentioned here by Khidr. When he tells Musa alayhi salam that I will tell you, سَأُنَبِّئُكَ بِتَأْوِيلِ مَا لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. And here focus on the Arabic word تَسْتَطِعْ. I will tell you now, Musa, the reasoning behind that which you did not have the ability to be patient upon. When you say تَسْتَطِعْ, that's one word in Arabic that means that when you endure something that is heavy. When you endure something that is heavy. But after he tells him the simple explanation and he breaks it down very simply for him, what does he say at the end of that? ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ لَمْ تَسْطِعْ. Not تَسْتَطِعْ, but تَسْطِعْ. this was the explanation behind that which you did not have the ability to be patient on. But here the word tasti' means that which is lighter. That which is lighter. Meaning, look how simple the explanation was. Because at that time, now you understand, now it's simple for you to comprehend. But before, it was so difficult for you to comprehend because you don't understand the wisdom of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So, before we finish off, inshallah, just a few very important lessons from this. The first one, going back to the start, when he says, لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا. That I'm not going to stop until I get to this junction between the two seas, or even if it means I'm going for a long journey. And what was this? Shows you the intention or the perseverance and the commitment to seeking knowledge. Musa alayhi salam, who is undoubtedly the one who is chosen by Allah Jalla wa Ala, but yet look at how much he's looking to seek knowledge. And this is something that gives us motivation as seekers of knowledge. That if this is a Nabi of Allah, this is Kalimullah, this is somebody that Allah spoke to, and look at his commitment to seek knowledge, and how about me and you and our commitment to seeking knowledge? And if we know from our earlier generations that they would travel from an entire city to city just to hear one hadith from somebody. SubhanAllah, so many examples that we can think of. If you think where a person he traveled from Mecca to Basra or to Egypt or to Yemen to Sham, all these places that would take them months on end to travel just because they wanted to hear one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now SubhanAllah, we have those tools at our hands and we don't use them. The second thing here is that Musa alayhi salam is undoubtedly better than Khidr. Musa alayhi salam is better than Khidr, and anybody who says that Khidr is better than Musa has deviated. Why? Because many reasons. First of all, Khidr, from his own statement, he says, I have knowledge which Allah has not given you, and you also have knowledge which Allah has not given me. And undoubtedly the knowledge that Allah had given Musa is far greater. It was revelation for his people. And he was the one that was chosen by Allah. Allah chose Banu Israel, and out of Banu Israel he chose Musa alayhi salam. So nobody can say that Musa alayhi salam that Khidr is better than Musa alayhi salam. And on top of that, Musa alayhi salam is also a messenger of Allah. Khidr, it is argued as to whether he's a Nabi or Rajul Salih. Is he a good righteous man or is he a prophet of Allah? Although the correct opinion is that he's a Nabi, nobody disputes the fact that Musa alayhi salam is a Rasul. And on top of that, he's not no ordinary messenger, he's from Ulul Azm. He's from the top 5 messengers. And he is the best of all the messengers that were sent to Banu Israel. And Allah said, إِنِّي اصْطَفَيْتُكَ عَلَى النَّاسِ بِرِسَالَاتِ وَبِكَلَامِ. That I have chosen you, Musa, over all the people. Over Banu Israel, who are, by the way, chosen people. Out of the chosen people, you are the chosen one, Musa, of my risalat, of my mission and my speech. And also, even if you look at the Ulul Azm, by the way, Isa alayhi salam, he's also from them. Isa alayhi salam is also from Ulul Azm. But he is also a follower of Musa alayhi salam. I have come with that which you have from the Torah, and there's a few changes here and there, but the point is that he's still a follower from the way of Musa alayhi salam, to show you that Musa alayhi salam has that great virtue. Musa alayhi salam also has the second biggest ummah after the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, our ummah, and he is also, as the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when he comes and he's resurrected, he will see Musa alayhi salam leaning towards the throne of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and he will say that I don't know whether he was even resurrected or if he was resurrected before me, meaning that I see him before, as I get up I can see that he was before me. So here the point being is that Musa alayhi salam undoubtedly is better than Al-Khidr, and it is incorrect to say that Khidr was better than Musa, as some of these people that take a very deep mystical path, they do. Another point which is very important is we learn the humility of Musa alayhi salam. Even though he knows that he is the chosen one, he knows that Allah has chosen him over the people and so on. But look at his response when Allah tells him there's somebody more knowledgeable than you. Immediately he wants to go and benefit from that person. And look at the way he presents himself to Khidr. He says, "Hal attabi'uka," asking him, "Can I follow you? Can I follow you? I'm the messenger of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Allah has chosen me, but I'm asking you humbly, can I follow you and learn from this knowledge?" Look at the humility that he had with Al-Khidr. Another thing is how Musa alayhi salam taught us how we own our own mistakes. I forgot here, this is my problem. I'm the one that forgot. And rather than giving you just an apology, I want to show you by action. If I ask you again, I exclude myself. I'm the one that bears the responsibility. So taking responsibility of one's own actions. Another thing here, subhanAllah, and this is the most powerful point from this lesson, it is the complete submission of Allah to Allah and to the will of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And subhanAllah, وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. This is a very important point. How can you be patient upon that which you have no knowledge of? How can you be patient if you don't understand these wisdoms, Musa? And this is, subhanAllah, this entire story, it symbolizes the aqdar of Allah, the wisdoms of Allah, that which we have no knowledge of. And if we are blessed by Allah, Allah will allow us to see some wisdoms, but it's not upon Allah that He shows us all the wisdoms of things that happen in the world. And just to point here, there's a few things that we need to understand. Number one is that we have limited understanding. We have limited understanding. Musa alayhi salam, this great prophet of Allah, could not understand as to why these three incidents took place. And he is the Nabi of Allah, he's the one, Rasulullah, the one that spoke to Allah. Allah spoke to him directly. And yet he didn't understand these wisdoms, great wisdoms of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Secondly, that the divine wisdom of Allah, it supersedes any immediate perception we have. Why did Musa alayhi salam say those things? Because naturally as humans we would say those things. Who here would be patient seeing a child being killed in front of you? Or seeing somebody break somebody else's property? And I'm not saying that you should be patient on those things. This story is, of course, a complete exclusive thing that took place. But the point here is Musa alayhi salam, he was informed that this is something that you need to understand, you're not going to have patience on. And how does that relate to us? When we see the evil that is happening in the world, why is it that the Muslims are being killed and butchered in Gaza, in Sudan, what was happening? And why are the Uyghurs suffering for so many years? And why all these things? They're all from the great wisdoms of Allah that we do not have the ability to understand. And only those people who have, and even those people who have been blessed, what did they say? That we submit our will to Allah Jalla wa Ala, and we try to understand the wisdoms of Allah. But if we don't understand, we still submit to Allah. Don't always think that you have to understand everything that Allah does. It's not important. What is important is that you submit. And it's important here that we also acknowledge the fact on that point as well, that we acknowledge our own shortcomings, and we acknowledge that Allah وَأَحَاطَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا, that Allah encompasses everything with His divine knowledge. And subhanAllah, also to remember that these trials that take place, they are purposeful. And this is something that we mentioned before. The trials that take place for humanity are things that are purposeful. They're not things that without any purpose. Every single one of us has our own personalized test from Allah. And we may not understand all the wisdoms. Why is it that my mother died? Why is it that I was an orphan? Why is it that my spouse left me? Why is it that my children, I had to bury them with my own hands? Why is it that I lost the house? Why this, all these things? All we need to know is acknowledge that it is Allah that has the greatest plan, and that Allah has a personalized test for us, and upon us is to submit to Allah, and upon us is to accept the divine decree of Allah, and that Allah has complete wisdom and we are lacking. Humble yourself. Don't be so arrogant and think you need to understand everything. You don't understand everything. We don't even understand the universe around us. We don't even understand the oceans in this planet, and they want to send us to Mars and think that we can understand what's going on there. Inshallah, we'll finish there. Subhanak Allahumma bihamdik, shadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Just a reminder, inshallah, next week we'll have a talk on the preparation of Ramadan, and the week after that will be the final episode of the stories of Musa alayhi salam, and then we'll go on to the other prophets, inshallah ta'ala. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.